you got to do lots of good ones.
For the most part, I think so, yeah. But there's always a few good ones every year, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. It's become less now because it's modern day and Bosco is kind of dominated.
David, can we maybe just switch that to prompter?
Yeah.
I think it's channel 53 or 52, 54 right there.
Yeah, perfect. Let me know which one. Let me know.
Okay.
Sorry.
Unless, do you want me to stay into here? Is this where you want me to stay, right here? Colleen? Here, here, here. Stay here? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's up. It's running. We're good. Yep. Okay.
All right, Eric, you ready to go?
Yep, for sure.
Okay, here we go. In 5, 4, 3. The dog days of summer are coming to a close, and that means that high school football season is just around the corner. We have the guy to discuss all of it here in the Southern Section, none other than LA Times Southern Section and football extraordinaire, Eric Sondheimer. Pleased to have you along here with us here on Fox 11. This summer it was a return to normal, with kids traveling and playing nonstop, trying to attract the attention of college coaches, of course. What has been your biggest takeaway as we start to see these high school athletes trying to get back into their routine?
Clearly is a return to normal. They felt rushed last spring when they had to get everything done in 6 weeks. And now they've enjoyed going to camps. They've been playing 7-on-7 at tournaments. They've been working hard in the weight room. The pads are already out. It's just everybody has taken a deep breath and exhaled. We still have some issues to overcome, but I think the parents are relieved. The players are excited, and the coaches can't wait to get the games going.
Yeah, there's no question. It's an exciting time. You've probably been putting in the miles yourself to see different teams, different schools start to get ready for the season, and you've been previewing the upcoming Southern Section season in your column and some of the players to watch for. If you could maybe start by giving us 3 names that you have your eyes on and you're expecting some big numbers from, who are those guys?
Well, clearly the number one player is Domani Jackson from Mater Dei. He's a senior cornerback. He ran the fastest 100 meters in June that's ever been run. He tied the mark, and he's just a great player headed to USC. I think the 2 quarterbacks at St. John Bosco have to be watched for because they're going to need to lift them to victory. That's Pierce Clarkson, only a junior, and Caden Hauser, who's committed to Michigan State. Those 2 guys are really critical figures. And I want to mention somebody in the city section, Jacob Galloway out of Banning High School, a running back who's committed to San Jose State, an outstanding player, and I'm looking forward to seeing him play.
Well, you mentioned a player out of the city section, and oftentimes those are guys that might not get as much in terms of the headlines. So maybe how about a sleeper or two, a player that maybe isn't on everyone's radar, but you feel they should be?
Well, there's 2 that are on people's radar, but also people underestimate them. That's DeJohn Stanley out of Granada Hills, a running back. He rushed for over 1,000 yards in the spring, and nobody even heard of this guy. And he's a 400-meter runner. He's at the school where John Elway threw lots of passes, but now they're running the ball in the double wing. So he's really good. And, of course, Arliss Boardingham out of Birmingham. He's got offers from Notre Dame and Arizona State, a great tight end, a great receiver, a great defensive end, safety. So these athletes are typical what the city section produces, and sometimes they are underestimated, but I sure don't underestimate them.
Yeah, no question, and you love it when a good athlete like that is able to go two-way in a game and make a difference on the defensive side of the ball, but also on the offensive side. Now, after the dead period ended for recruiting, it's been a wild summer of recruiting trips for these athletes and also for the college coaches that have not been able to get together and see those athletes for over a year. What's the biggest obstacles for both sides having to overcome this process? I mean, the athletes, they want to get noticed, and the coaches only have so much time and resources to get out there and see these guys play.
Right. The coaches have finally gotten a chance to see them up close through camps this summer. They invited kids to come out so they could actually measure their height, find out about their weight, see their speed, but they want to also get out to the campuses and see how they act, talk to some of their teachers. So that's going to be a priority for this fall to see. As far as the players, they're continuing to communicate, whether it's social media or they're going to go to games unofficially, visit schools. So it's going to be somewhat a back to normal, which is important, but it's still a tough process. All those college players from last season got an extra year. So nobody really knows how many of these seniors are really going to graduate, how many of the juniors are going to move on. So it puts the pressure on the coaches to decide how many openings do I really have in my scholarships, and that leaves everybody guessing. So that's why a lot of people have committed early. They hope that that commitment will stick. But I have a feeling, as usual, there'll be a lot of decommits and a lot of coaches saying you might want to look elsewhere.
Well, and that begs the question then, because of that extra year of eligibility, you're going to have a logjam of players and there's only so many slots to fill. What are you hearing maybe from parents? What are you hearing from coaches? And what are you even hearing from some of the players as far as trying to get after a spot and get themselves committed to a college? But again, there's only so many spots to be filled, and you have a lot of athletes, especially since last year's athletes were given that extra year of eligibility.
It's going to be a wild, wild west situation. There are a lot of people nervous, and they should be, because none of the JCs also played football. So you got a lot of people who came back to junior college, and they're men. They're not teenagers. And so they're fighting for those same scholarship spots. And then you have the transfer portal in colleges, which is hundreds of players. So college coaches are deciding, why am I recruiting a young high school kid when I have to win immediately? I can get this person out of the transfer portal. So, yeah, the kids need to do well in school. They need to make an impression early on in the season, I think, with their film. And they have to keep working hard, because it's going to be a wild, wild west situation trying to get scholarships this fall.
Yeah, you know, Eric, it's interesting because you thought that maybe this whole COVID-19 situation and this pandemic was maybe coming back to normalcy, right? But this is going to have long-lasting effects. In fact, recently LAUSD announced they're requiring testing of athletes whether they've been vaccinated or not. So what are you hearing from parents and players and even coaches about how this is going to affect getting their programs back to where they were before the pandemic in terms of numbers, in terms of scheduling, in terms of practice time?
There are so many obstacles for a city section coach that I just wonder, why are they coaching? There's just frustration levels just go on and on. First of all, they get paid $2,800. I'd say $2,811 as a stipend. Take away the taxes and you can figure it out yourself. It's below minimum wage. So they're doing it for the love of the game. But they're sitting out there and they have to get everybody checked in. They have to go through the daily pass to make sure they've cleared their weekly tests. So there's tremendous obstacles, but obviously everybody wants to do it safely. And that's why I'm just so determined to make sure these kids who go through all this are rewarded, because a lot of kids and their parents didn't want to do it last spring. That's why the rosters were depleted. And hopefully this is a renewed start, and people get to go back to campus and go into their classes, and that will encourage more people to come out and enjoy the Friday night atmosphere that we all love and grew up on when we went to high school.
Well, you know, you mentioned the love of the game for these coaches, but that's also true for some of the players. But according to some reports, you know, numbers are down for some programs, especially when you talk about underclassmen like freshmen and sophomores. So if you're a coach and you're trying to build a freshman team, or you're trying to build a junior varsity team, but you don't have the numbers, that is going to have long-lasting effect, I would think, because you're not going to have guys that are prepared for the varsity come a year or two down the road.
Exactly. A lot of coaches are figuring out that they're not going to have JV teams to start the season in August. They hopefully will get them in September. The key is, what the coaches tell me, is they got to go out to the 9th grade PE classes, and that's how you recruit your players. You do an eyeball test. This guy's big. Ask him if he wants to play some football, and suddenly they get encouragement and confidence to try out. But again, because there was no on-campus teaching last spring, they didn't have that chance to see the 9th grade PE classes. So I think it will improve come late August and September, when they get a chance to actually encourage these kids in 9th grade who've never played football before to get out. And yeah, some of these schools are below 10 as far as freshmen. That's incredibly small.
All right, we're just a few weeks away, Eric, from week 0 here in the Southern section. What game will you be at that week? And maybe what's a couple of other interesting matchups that I know you'll be monitoring, have your eyes on as well?
Right. Well, the featured game should be Mater Dei playing at Corona Centennial. Corona Centennial has really been the only public school that's given the private schools any kind of competition. Two great coaches, Bruce Rollinson and Matt Logan. Also, St. John Bosco's playing Miami Central in one of those great intersectional games. There's a lot of really good opening games. And I like the openers because that means they're probably mostly no injuries. They're all excited. The fans usually show up. We get the kettle corn cooking, and everybody's excited and happy. So I look forward to that 0-week game starting on August 20th. And also the best game on August 19th is Servite playing at Bishop Amat, two perennial Division I teams.
Looks like it's stacking up to be another fantastic season. Glad to have you on here on Fox 11. I can hear the passion in your voice, and we look forward to the continued read on LA Times.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Eric.
Okay, great. Thank you. Take care, you guys.
You too. Bye-bye.